Hello everyone, welcome back to 55 Fandom. So, final video of 2024. As I recently always like to do, I want to go over the top 10 best movies of this year and the top 10 worst movies of this year. Now, before I start, I think that 2024, it was more of a bad year for movies. I mean, the biggest movies of the year were Disney movies, and a lot of things like, The Fall Guy and Furiosa just absolutely failed it at the box office. There's a lot of sequels this year as well, but we're still going to make that list. So let's start with the top 10 best. Before we get into the top 10 best, I'd like to say some honourable mentions. Mufasa, The Lion King. Now, as you guys know, I haven't covered it at all on my platform because I thought it was an awful way to get a cash grab. I saw the first teaser trailer and I was like, nah. Because I didn't like the 2019 Lion King because it was a shot-for-shot remake. That was my problem. And I didn't know how they could do a Mufasa story and make it interesting. That being said, the soundtrack was awesome. I love the soundtrack, but it's Lin-Manuel Miranda. What do you expect? And the soundtrack actually kind of pushed me to go, okay, I'll go see it. The animation was breathtaking. I loved that the animals were very, very expressionate. But, the villain played by Mads Mikkelsen wasn't really all that compelling, if I'm being honest. And there are points in the story where I guess you are supposed to sympathise with Scar, but there are points in the story where I was like, Mufasa's quite mean towards his brother. What's going on? But Sarabi kept leading the boys on and kept saying, oh, actually, I like you. Oh, no, Mufasa, it's always been you. So I had some problems with it, but it was more enjoyable than I thought it was going to be. It's definitely better than The Lion King 2019, and it was a pleasant surprise, but it still wasn't top 10. Number 10. Furiosa. Now, I thought Furiosa was pretty awesome. Chris Hemsworth gave his best performance in, I think, years. Anya Taylor-Joy is always magnificent. She's awesome. The set pieces were so awesome. The story, everything about Furiosa screamed unique and screamed different. But because it screamed different, its box office went horribly down. So, I think Furiosa is a very underrated movie. Number 9, Joker 2. Listen, Joker 2 was awesome. You remember my video, Joker 2, a secret masterpiece? Yes, it is. It's a secret masterpiece. Don't come at me. I will defend Joker 2 till the day I die, because Joker 2 is peak. Arthur Fleck trying to deal with who the real persona is, Arthur or the Joker. Songs are meant to be used when the characters can't express themselves anymore. Songs are used really good. Dude, you can't tell me that The Joker Is Me is not added in, in the most perfect moment. Lady Gaga, yeah? Awesome. I guarantee in 5 years people will be going, oh my god, that's a great movie. Number 8, I have Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Now, this was just a really solid movie. I mean, when they announced this, I was like, Disney, what are you doing? Number 3 ended everything perfectly. Why are you digging up this franchise? I was wrong. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is awesome. It shows how the apes have evolved even further. How the world has become their animal kingdom. Caesar's teachings have been corrupted. It's kind of like religion. So that was so interesting. The animation was so beautiful. Everything in this movie worked. Number 7, I have Inside Out 2. Now, Inside Out 2, I think, was the biggest surprise of this year. I did have doubts because Pixar was kind of on a downhill with their stories. I was wrong about that. Inside Out 2 is a massive return to form, and it was the biggest movie of this year. Biggest Pixar movie ever. I don't think anyone was expecting that, and it is awesome. It's amazing. I relate to it. It came out at the best time for me. I relate to it heavily because I'm a teenager. Riley having an anxiety attack and how that is physically portrayed in a form of art. Amazing. In number 6, I have Dune 2. Now listen, all you John Campea fans.
Look closely at Tobey Maguire's dick.
It's probably the best written and shot film in the last 10 years, I agree. However, I just enjoyed just slightly more the films after this. But Dune 2, I mean, listen, come on. Timothy Chalamet, Zendaya gives probably her best performance ever. You know, that ending, that cliffhanger. Dude, I want to see Dune Prophecy. Give it to me right now. Austin Butler, I think, stole the show here. Him versus Timothy Chalamet's character. Paul Atreides on like a sandworm, trying to tame it. Whoa, I was in shock. It was so suspenseful. Josh Brolin coming back. This is a perfect film, but I just enjoyed the rest of these films on this list a little bit more. In number 5, I have number 5, Gladiator 2. Listen, Gladiator 2 was awesome. People said that it was the original film, just modernized, and yes, I agree with that, but it's done incredibly well with a few differences. Pedro Pascal plays a fantastic middleman and plays exceptionally well off of Joseph Quin's Emperor, which spells good news for Fantastic Four. Maximum's wife returning to comfort her son, I thought was a wonderful touch, and the son putting on the OG armor was wonderful. Denzel Washington gives a great performance. I just thought this was an awesome film with great set pieces, great action, great story. I just loved it. In number 4, I got Sonic 3. Sonic 3, in brief, is up here because of my love for Sonic and how much they delivered everything I've wanted from a Sonic film. So, go watch my review if you want to know more about what I mean. At number 2, I got Wicked. Wicked, I thought, was really delightful. Fanboys, keep crying. Everything from the acting, the dancing, and the singing was really terrific. No studio rarely makes sets and props now because of CGI, but most of these sets in Wicked were real, and Oz's head was real. Who does that in 2024? I really appreciated the set builds and set design because it made the film feel real. The Emerald City feels real. Shiz feels real. I didn't like the West End version of this, but my god, this movie turned me around. It's so funny and engaging and heartbreaking. I kept laughing at Ariana, but that's no surprise from her cat days. All in all, Wicked is just a fantastic movie. But the best film of the year is Deadpool and Wolverine. And I think it had to be because it didn't fully pander to the fans, but gave us just enough. Logan in his comic suit, Cassandra Nova, Blade and Deadpool reconciling, Channing Tatum as Gambit. It gave us the best Marvel intro ever, and Ryan's comedy was balanced out with Hugh's gravitas and emotion, which made it a perfect match. Pair that with the epic bromance and the little heartfelt arc Deadpool had, and you have one of the best films of 2024. But unfortunately now we have to talk about the top 10 worst movies of 2024. Number 10, I've got Beetlejuice 2. Now, Beetlejuice 2 was a huge disappointment. Lydia marrying a prick, and everyone else knows he's a prick except Lydia. That just makes the character of Lydia look stupid. Beetlejuice's ex-wife that was never talked about in film 1 is just randomly here. The film dragged on for a bit long. Willem Dafoe was wasted. I just feel like Beetlejuice 2 shouldn't have been made. At number 9, I've got Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire. On a rewatch of this movie, I found it pretty unrewatchable. It took everything I loved about the story and the depth about Godzilla vs. Kong and just made it stupid in this one. I think that Scar King was an underdeveloped villain, if I'm being honest, and not just being blinded by hype. The introduction of Baby Kong was lovely, but Godzilla really served no purpose in this story. He was just there so that you had Godzilla in it. It was just a big CGI battle. There was no risk of humans. The buildings kept getting smashed. I'm sure people died. The film didn't even touch on that. It was just fighting for 2 hours, but not good fighting. So Godzilla x Kong, I'm afraid to say, was one of the worst movies this year. Number 8, Transformers 1. Don't come at me in the comments. Transformers 1, I didn't like it. I thought the pacing was very slow. I thought the start of it was awesome. And as we got through the second half, it kind of broke down as a film for me. I found the plot very, I guessed it straight away. I knew who the villain was straight away. And I liked my plots to be very suspenseful and to kind of not do like Disney villain twists, but kind of lead me in the wrong direction. And then I can go, oh, I wasn't expecting that. That's actually quite cool. But Transformers 1 had none of that. Chris Hemsworth gives a great performance. The battles are great, But Megatron's turn to evil was very quick, very forced. I remember people coming out of the film and going, B's the funniest character. I didn't laugh at B at all. I found Scarlett Johansson's character really obnoxious and borderline rude. I didn't. Transformers 1 didn't click with me. I'm sorry. At number 7, I've got Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Now, this film was such a disappointment that I never talked about it. I never reviewed it. I mean, this film is pretty bad. Phoebe, a ghost wanting to be her friend, not the most compelling. And then, I know Ghost is supernatural, but introducing Kumail Nanjiani as like a flame-throwing ghost killer, what are we doing? And the villain was built up, you know, the heroes were like, oh my god, this villain is the worst villain ever. And he's defeated in one movie. Surely you'd have set him up in Afterlife and made him the villain of the whole trilogy, no? And the OG's being brought back for this one. It did feel forced in this one, especially OGs like Bill Murray and Annie Potts, where they are only in the film for like the final third act. In number 6, for you Americans, click off this section, Paddington 3. Paddington 3 was such a disappointment. Taking Paddington to Peru sounds like a neat idea, but they really just touched the surface with this. And the story, the mystery, really, mysteries don't really suit Paddington movies. And, you know, some of it is lovely, some of the heart is still there, but then the rest of the film is just boring. It's sluggish. The Browns are not utilised at all. The thing that I've wanted to see for so many years, the home of retired bears, we only get like 5 minutes of footage in there. Antonio Banderas is not charismatic in this film. He is borderline flat. The villain has a personality disorder, and Antonio has to dress up in different costumes, just like Hugh Grant in Paddington 2. So that's already a repeat. I wasn't enraptured by this movie, and I think it would have been better if Paddington had stayed in Peru. Then that would have got me very emotional. The fact that he came back kind of shows that this trilogy have learnt nothing. Why did you bring him back? I love the Hugh Grant cameo at the end. I love that. Who wants to be Daddy Bear? But apart from that, this film was a complete miss. Number 5, I have Kung Fu Panda 4. Kung Fu Panda 4 is the worst Kung Fu Panda movie ever. It is sloppy. It's too fast. The pacing is too quick. The villain has such a stupid motive. She was short, so she couldn't learn Kung Fu. Excuse me, Mantis is in this universe. What are you playing at? Tai Lung being brought back. He didn't actually have a rematch against Po. He was like, oh no, I'm all good with Po now. What? Shen was brought back, he didn't even say anything, he was there for 2 seconds. Kai was brought back 1 second. The villain turns into them, and yeah, that's a sick fight against Po. But that's all that's good in this film. Aquafina and the new Dragon Warrior, I didn't care. I liked that Po had a next journey to go on. That seemed logical. But why did you pick the Fox to be the next Dragon Warrior? She's proven to be a liar. She could lie again. Just all of the choices in this movie, I was like, what are you doing? In number 4, I've got Borderlands. Now, this was borderline awful. Kate Blanchett looks like she didn't want to be there. Ariana Greenblatt is trying. Kevin Hart, it's just like a Jumanji film, but worse. You asked me to say something from the plot. I couldn't now. I've completely forgotten it. So that's why Borderlands is number 4. Number 3, Kraven the Hunter. Yeah, this is not good. Watch my review. Number 2, we've got Venom 3. Oh my god, it's such a bad film. Again, watch my review. It was awful. But number 1, the worst movie of 2024 is Madam Web. Madam Web is awful. There's only 3 things I need to say. CGI, acting, Dakota Johnson. Dakota Johnson, while she was under NDA, said to everyone this movie was awful. The editing didn't match up. What the characters were saying wasn't even what was coming out of their mouths. This movie was horrendous. But I don't want to end on a sour note. No, because I want to introduce something new to keep these top 10s refreshing. So I'm going to crown... It's like the movie of the year. I'm going to crown one movie every year the absolute best movie of the year. It wasn't in the top 10 best. It gets its own special section. And this year, that movie is The Wild Robot. I thought The Wild Robot was just a wonder in filmmaking. It hit everything. It hit the emotion. It hit the animation. It hit the story, it hit the voice acting. I thought The Wild Robot was the best movie of 2024. It had no, like, bad things to say about it. The pacing was great. It's a movie that can unite everyone. It doesn't offend anyone. It's disguised as a kid's film, but it is so charming, and it deals with, thoughts of loss and motherhood and children and love and family. I just love this movie to pieces. Pedro Pascal as the Fox was awesome. Lupita Nyong'o as the Wild Robot. Oh, what a performance. And robots are supposed to be like, hello, I'm a robot. And she does do that, but she does it with such emotion. I don't know how. I just thought The Wild Robot was everything you want from a movie. But guys, that is it for the year. Oh, I got to go edit all of this now. This is going to be painful. But guys, thank you for an amazing year. See you in 2025.